But this is the story that has me fired up first tonight. Now, the only thing you need to remember, starting it out, new year, the only thing you need to remember in 2011 is they're still Republicans. They ain't going to change. Congressman Darrell Issa, Exhibit A. Now, he's all about starting a 2-year witch hunt to bring down President Obama and the Democrats. Now, I've been warning you about this dude coming up into Congress to have this chair for months after he made this accusation on the Drugsters radio show.
So there'll be a certain degree of gridlock as the president adjusts to the fact that he has been one of the most corrupt presidents in modern times. He has ignored the very laws that he said were so vital when he was a senator. And, you know, he's going to have to come back a direction.
Okay, I got to call a timeout early in the broadcast tonight. Now, let me ask you something, folks. Was he speaking with clarity there? Did he mince his words at all? Did he say it with conviction? Yes, he did. This guy loves the microphone. He loves the camera. Keep that in mind. He took a lot of heat for making that statement on the Drugsters radio show at the time. Now he's doing his very best to walk it back. Issa put it this way on a Sunday morning talking head show over the weekend.
In saying that this is one of the most corrupt administrations, which is what I meant to say there, when you hand out $1 trillion in TARP just before this president came in, most of it unspent, $1 trillion nearly in stimulus that this president asked for, plus...
Yeah. What he meant to say on Limbaugh's radio show. We got a big clarification there, don't we? Look, this guy is a fraud, folks. Pay attention to this story. This is the run-up to the election. Now, if Issa is right, our entire system of democracy is corrupt. I mean, if his accusations about it being corrupt, then that means the whole system's corrupt, right? TARP was a Bush program. The stimulus the stimulus package and the health care bills, didn't they go through hours of debates and votes by both chambers? Issa is clearly drunk with his new power as the head of the Oversight Committee in the House. He's still accusing the president of using walking around money.
What happened is we gave President Bush and President Obama inherited $800 billion worth of walking around money with no guidelines, so that what was supposed to help financial institutions ultimately bailed out car manufacturers.
Okay, but walking around money, in my opinion, that is completely a reckless term. It doesn't belong in any interview. Walking around money. They can do whatever they want with it. After the Congress voted on it, Issa's trying to make the Obama administration look like a bunch of gangsters. That's the bottom line. At the same time, he thinks if he drops the Bush name into the conversation, liberals will give him a pass. Congressman Henry Waxman and Senator Byron Dorgan, if you remember, held hundreds of hearings to battle waste, fraud, and abuse when it came to Iraq spending by the Bush administration and Republicans like Issa. Do you remember him out in front of the cameras saying, hey, wait a minute, we've really got to find out what Bush is doing every step of the way here in Iraq and Afghanistan? Never, not once. Issa is playing a high-stakes game of get back, trying to stick it to President Obama at a whole new level. Now, Waxman, he held 203 oversight hearings in 2 years. Issa, well, he wants to take this oversight committee and put it on steroids. He's prepared to hold about, what, 280 in just 1 year? What's the mission here? Issa's game plan, in my opinion, crystal clear. He wants to bring the federal government to a screeching halt by putting the White House constantly on the defensive for the next 2 years. The only thing Issa and the Republicans really want, what they really want, is to politically hamstring the president and the Democrats in 2012 and serve up a bunch of bullet points. This is nothing more than a reckless Republican power grab. Issa's, what he did this morning, he announced early today these targets on his Twitter account. He's kind of doing the Palin thing, you know? The list includes investigations into the origins of the financial crisis. Hold it right there. I ask you, Mr. Issa, call up Byron Dorgan and ask him about Glass-Steagall. Be a good homework assignment for you. Oh, he wants to get into Freddie and Fannie again, and the impact of government hyper-regulation on job creation. Hold the phone again. How many times has President Obama and the Democrats put incentives on the table for small businesses in this country, only to have the Issas of the world bitch about it? Issa is laying the groundwork for repealing every bit of progress President Obama and the Democrats accomplished over the last 2 years. When the Republicans officially take over the House on Wednesday, don't expect them to do anything to make your life any better. They're all about undoing progressive middle-class reform to protect their buddies in big business. That's it. They're also on a mission to make this president a one-termer. We all know that. But remember, it might be a new year. But, folks, take it from your good friend Big Eddie, back from the holidays, rest and ready to take these jokers on. They're still Republicans. Don't forget it. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think about our survey question tonight. Do you think Congressman Issa's investigations of the Obama administration will be fair? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. We'll bring in the results later on in the show. No, they won't be fair. That's how I'd do it. Joining me now is Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings, and he is, of course, the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, and will be facing off against Mr. Issa. Congressman, hope you had a great holiday. Good to have you back with us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Ed. I see you're well rested and ready to go.
I tell you what, I'm well rested, and I feel great because I think this is going to be a great year for the people because all these lies that the Republicans have been telling, they now have some power, and now they got to come clean to the American people. But to this story tonight, he vilifies the stimulus package and the health care package. These were voted on. And he uses the term corrupt with these two bills. What's your thoughts on that?
I can tell you that I was very disturbed when I heard him, first of all, describing the president as being corrupt, and then just yesterday claiming that he was stepping back. But then he said the administration was corrupt. And then he said that, at first said he was going to investigate the Sestak case, and he backed up from that. And I think, what concerns me more than anything else is that my friend, Mr. Issa, is drawing a lot of conclusions, putting those conclusions out there for the world to hear with not one scintilla of evidence. And I think that shows something that should bother us all. I was thinking today that in Maryland, we have a Republican, Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, who's been voted one of the most conservative Republicans in the country. Mm-hmm. And I can't even imagine him calling the president corrupt. I can't even imagine it. So I think this is not a very good thing for a person, and I want you to keep this in mind. Mr. Issa will have the ability almost by himself to subpoena almost anybody in this country to come before our committee. And that's kind of dangerous with somebody who is already drawing these kind of conclusions. And I'm willing to work with Mr. Issa on various investigations, but I will not be a part of a witch hunt.
Well, how do you stop him then? You're not going to be a part of a witch hunt. You've seen this back in the 90s. They took a non-government story and turned it into impeachment. You've been down this road. Sure. You've heard these kinds of testimonies before. Of course. And I think we're going down the same road right here.
Well, I think what we're going to have to do, Ed, is we're going to have to, before we hold these hearings, we're going to have press conferences and try to push Mr. Issa to give some balance to these hearings. That's very, very important. For example, when we wanted a foreclosure hearing, which he's now agreed to, but now he wants to term it from a standpoint of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
He's winging it.
Yeah. Well, the fact is that this the housing crisis that we suffered and the economic crisis, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were indeed a part of it, but there were a whole lot of more players in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So we want to make sure that it's not one-sided, that we have a complete picture so that we can not only have oversight, but have true reform. And that's what we're supposed to be all about.
He's winging it. He switched his story, he switched his comments, and they haven't even got the gavel yet. Yeah. Bottom line here, I think they're trying to create a narrative, get some bullet points out there on the presidential campaign trail, give the Republicans something negative to talk about President Obama. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you're probably right, but Ed, I am determined to make sure that we work hard to make these hearings fair, that we don't be dragging people in like they did when Clinton was in office. folks who really had nothing to do with any kind of problems, and making them go out and hire lawyers, putting them before cameras and ruining their reputations. Well, I think all Americans should be against that. And I just want fairness, and I want to reform, and I want to have oversight, but I want it to be done so that it is beneficial to the American people.
Well, Congressman, this is the first story out of the block for me in 2011, because I don't think there's anything bigger, because this guy's going to have a lot of power. He can disfocus the country. He can set the table for the Republicans to go after President Obama with absolutely no basis or no merit. And the fact that he has recklessly thrown around the word corruption and pinned it on the president, then when he was on a right-wing talk show, and then backed it off, shows me he's not well thought out. And a lot of Americans are going to be dependent on you, and I appreciate you doing what you're doing. Thank you, Congressman. Good to have you with us tonight. Coming up, you bet. Coming up, this is, well, this just in. New Jersey's bully governor, Chris Christie.